recording.
You ready to get, everybody ready to go? Good evening, everyone. I'm gonna call this special call meeting on June 7th to order. And we have 4 items on the agenda, and I'm gonna make an exception tonight. We have a lot of people that wanna speak. This will be the last meeting that we will have visitors come to the podium at a meeting other than the third or fourth Monday is our regularly scheduled meeting. So I will be taking visitors here shortly. Any other additions to the agenda, council?
I would ask that we add that issue to our next agenda. I think there's some code of the town of Blackstone that kind of counteracts that position. I just think it's something we need to talk about. If that's the way we're gonna go, we can do it, but we need to,
If there's something in the code, just to
That we need to discuss,
Make sure we
yeah.
can say there's no public comment.
yeah, so I'd like
At
to
certain meetings.
talk about that at the next meeting.
All right, so, first of all, I think y'all know I'm having extreme issues with my ears.
Okay.
And I'm pumped up full of steroids, so if I act rash or I insult you, I'm sorry, but she gave me the maximum dose yesterday and today, and it's, so help me understand what you want to do tonight.
Tonight, if you're allowing public comment, fine, but I would like, you just said this was gonna be the last meeting for special meeting where we have public comment. I'd like us to bring that issue up at the next meeting. I think there's some code that counteracts that in our own town code that we can discuss.
Right.
If that's what the council wants to do, there's a way that we can get to that, but we need to look at what's already on the books.
That's fine, we can
Okay.
put that on the agenda, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone that would like to come speak to the council may do so now. We'll have a 3-minute limit that I saw that I wasn't prepared to let anyone speak. I found that in the policy today. I asked that we don't do any name calling or that we're respectful to the council. And I'll ask you to speak to the council, not to the audience. Anybody would like to come forward, please do so. And I'll need you to state your name and address for the record, please.
I am Nicholas Johnson, 211 Maben Avenue. Obviously, everybody knows why I'm here. We've seen the video. Everybody knows I'm upset about it. You ask everybody not name call and be polite. That's what we want.
Good
We
deal. I
want this
appreciate it.
town to be civil. That won't civil. The king needs to go. It can't happen. Bullying, I won't tolerate it with my kids. I won't tolerate it with an adult. It ain't happening. Something needs to be done. I was told to start a petition. Within 1 week, we are at almost 90 signatures. This is, the town is speaking. We need to be heard.
Okay, that's what your opportunity is tonight. And look, I thank you, Mr. Johnson. Anyone else?
Christina Colazzo, Sullivan Street. I have more of a question. Mayor Green, why do you allow Philip to break employee policy?
Well, a policy was violated, and we are in the midst of going over our policies. And the policy on carrying a firearm is being reviewed now. The council has instructed the staff to rewrite a policy, and hopefully we'll have that on our June 26th meeting for approval.
Okay, so you're planning on rewriting the policy, but as of today and as of the day of the incident, the policy stands the way it is.
Right.
Was Philip given disciplinary action for breaking the company
It's a
policy?
personnel matter, and the council has met on it twice.
I'm only asking because you interrupted me last time, so I'm only asking because as a mayor, you show zero to no communication with the town. It's crickets on everything, and I think the town wants answers, and consequences
I
need
have
to be
published
given,
my- I
and the
published my
town
phone
needs to
number.
know.
My email, my phone number, it's out there. I will not banter on Facebook.
You
It's not my-
you
I-
do banter on Facebook. I've seen the screenshots.
Well,
All I'm saying is he broke employee policy when the policy was stated. Whatever you change the policy to, that's a future thing. He broke it as it stands, and this is not the first time Philip has acted disgusting. So something needs to be done before people lose respect for you, because they've already lost respect for him. Thank you.
I appreciate you cutting me off. Thank you. Who's next? What it,
Brene Brockenbrough, Courthouse Road.
thank you, ma'am. Hold on just a minute. We're not gonna have vulgar language in here at all, okay? Period. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Thank you. What are you revising? My name is Brene Brockenbrough, and I live on Courthouse Road.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now, when you say you're rewriting the policy, what is it going to be rewritten to?
We haven't written the policy yet. It's in the process, and I'm hoping that,
What will the outcome be? Will you allow firearms in these meetings?
that's.
Will you allow firearms within the town hall? Will you allow firearms on city property? And if so, why?
Well, again, council has not ratified any policy.
What is your position?
My position is the council sets the policies, and I'm to see to it that they're enforced. That's my position.
Great. So, obviously, my question is, why do we need weapons on city property from anyone except for licensed officers of the law? If there is that much danger in these buildings that we need to carry firearms to protect ourselves, then I believe we need to hire security instead of allowing civilians to carry firearms. We just had a shooting in Richmond yesterday. You're bringing it to our doorstep. Obviously, certain people cannot control their emotions, and I do not want someone with such rash decision-making to carry a firearm in a public area.
I appreciate your comments. Council is deliberating the policy. Thank you so much. Who's next? Anyone else? Ms. Tucker?
I was not gonna say anything, but they keep bringing this up. First of all, I'd like to not say the king.
Ma'am?
I would not like to say king. His name is Philip Van Norbeek. So I'm talking about Mr. Van Norbeek. He's a good manager as far as I have followed his position being here. But the little bit, well, not little bit, the things that I know about Mr. Van Norbeek, he's a hothead. That does not affect his ability to be a manager. That's what needs to be worked on. You're not his parents, but you all need to tell him so he can stop being so hot-headed. Like they were saying, this is not his first rodeo. And you can't jump up into people. I looked at that video, and I was kind of appalled that he would take a grown man and treat him like he was a 6-year-old. Yes. At the beginning of the video, he came in walking as if he was Walker, Texas Ranger, the gun on his hip. I didn't like that. Whether he meant it for any purpose or not, I don't know. But it was not, to me, appropriate. He called him in, come here. Not Mr. whomever he was, come in, we need to talk. That guy didn't know, but he could have refused to go into that room with him. There was a police officer there. If anybody should have called, it should have been the office. You're going to apologize to these girls. These were not girls, they were full-grown women. And they called him, and just like y'all told me when I called, there is a chain of command. And if we learn to stay in our lane and follow that chain of command, we wouldn't have all of these problems. You know, and you might get emotional, as they said. I won't say emotional. That's just rashness, hot-headedness, can't control your anger. When he came in, it was almost as if this guy yelled at these girls. So I'm going to show him his place. He had no place except to leave and go home. And if he had done something so bad, he should have been arrested. And in the end, it was found out that he was not even the one. I apologize. That's not enough. That's not enough. He had talked to this guy. Some people are afraid, I'm trying to say. He didn't know whether I should leave. I sit here and take this putting down or what. But it was just not respectful. I don't care if he was homeless, crackhead, drunk, whatever. He was a human being first and foremost and should have been treated as such. And if he wanted to handle it, which would have been all right with me, do it in a respectful way. You know, this this was almost like you were speaking to your 6-year-old child. I didn't do it. I didn't do that. And I got mad at him for cowering down saying, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. Speak up. Whenever somebody comes to you, I was taught, look them in the eyes and speak up. Don't speak down to me. That will not work. So all I'm saying is these slap on the wrist for all these incidents, that won't work anymore. Something needs to be done. And as far as I'm saying, his job is his position, I think he's pretty good at it. I think he's darn good at it.
I really appreciate your comments as always, and hold on just a second. Because, you know, I'm off my game a little bit, guys, I apologize. Does anybody have any comments for any of the previous speakers? Does anybody would like to address Ms. Tucker? I really appreciate your comment.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I am Sharon Street at 26 Pickett Court. I'd like to say a couple of things. First of all, I do work on the volunteer for the Juneteenth committee, and I'll let you all know that any of my social media comments are my personal opinion, not related to the Juneteenth. If there's anything any councilman or woman wants to address me with my comments, please don't hesitate to contact me. I have no problem with that. Second, I want to say you all talking about going back and addressing where we're not going to be able to make a public comment. I hope you all I can understand to a certain extent about not allowing the comments. We're already on a 3-minute limit. Maybe you can make how they can be made, not to come up here and make them be personalized. Let's all be professional. We come here, and this is my first year I really interacted with the town council, and I wish I'd have done it a long time ago, because instead of voting for just what someone said, that who you are and what you are, because we go by what you all said when you're out there campaigning. Then when you get in those chairs, you all prove another factor or show another side of yourselves. You all were kids. You all grew up here, most of you anyway. If you weren't in those positions, you'd be in the same position we are sitting out here in this audience. Please listen to your citizens. Please take in consideration that we want a better change for Blackstone. It's not about the money we have or the money we have inherited or the different properties we have. We want a better change too. The town is so fixated on fast, they don't even have a gut instinct how many people want better for here in town. You councilmen and women tell me who in here can afford a $1,400 rent payment for these apartments here. Think about us. I've taught my sons, before you go taking care of anybody else's house, take care of your own home. Y'all not taking care of their home. Y'all not taking care of these people that's going to pay your salaries and pay these taxes here when Fast and Fort Pickett is shut down. Y'all not thinking about us. And also about the mental health crisis that's still going on here. I still on this issue about the laundromat. I haven't stopped. Yes, I call APS because no one's looked at Mr. Lewis' health problem. This man has swollen extremities. Skin is very scaly. Yeah, he can make that own decision himself. But don't say nothing, and I'm glad it's going to be on recorded. When Billy Coburn posts in the paper when this man is found dead laying in the laundromat because we so-called got people that's looking out for him, you can feed him 3 meals a day, but are you feeding him what he's supposed to have according to his health care? That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Reed.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I
ma'am?
come in peace. I don't know what these people talking about. So,
What was your name, ma'am?
my name is Sarah Allen. I'm on Wards Lane. I've come to address Mr. Miller. Last time I was here, I made a statement that you made about the playgrounds. I got it transcribed, and you said it didn't happen. So, you said at 1 minute and 10 seconds in, well, at the last work session at Taylor Bottom, I don't see that many kids down there. We might need to talk about that. I mean, it's always up for negotiation, but I don't see as many kids in Taylor Bottom as I do when you come up. As I do when you come up. You understand what I'm saying? When you leave Taylor Bottom and you start going on in town, which Wigglesworth is a good idea, but I don't see one down in Taylor Bottom because you don't have that many kids down there. You don't have that many kids. So that's what you said, and y'all, Mr. Green, and all of y'all said that we didn't talk about it. And I can play the video for you right now, but I don't have time because you limited the public comment. But I do want to say this about public comment. As an official, if you scared of public comment, you in the wrong business.
I'm not afraid.
So, okay, but while you talking, is my time stopping?
Ma'am, absolutely not.
Okay, well, I'm gonna keep talking. So, Mr. Phillip, I'm going to address you as peacefully as possible because I feel like we are two peas in a pod. I have a temper. I just want to tell you that you addressed a human being. And to address a human being like that with a gun on your hip and to take him into a private room and to yell at him,
Please
it was
address the
very,
council. Please
it was, okay, wait. To allow Philip to do that, to address a human being like that, is very dehumanizing. I just hope that you know Philip had no authority to do that. Only authority he had to do that and not let him leave, was the gun on his hip. Had that happened anywhere else except that town office, things could have happened to be a lot worse. Only thing I want you to do is to have some empathy in the future because, like I said, I do have an anger problem and I try to put myself in other people's shoes. Imagine if someone had done that to your child. Imagine if your child came home crying, because I know in the video you said you had a sick child at home. What if that child came home from school and said a teacher did that to them? How would you react? And just be kind to all people, no matter what they are in life, where they are in life. And just have a nice day. Like I said, I came in peace.
We appreciate it too, ma'am.
Any questions before I sit down?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have another comment, but just for the council. I took one day to ride down. I rode down the three streets in Taylor Bottom, Center Street, Stokes Street, Scott Street. In Taylor Bottom, there are 17 kids. 2 buses go down there and pick up and drop off kids. There are a couple on Center Street. There are 1 or 2 on, Stokes. So I asked the lady on one of those streets in Taylor Bottom, and I think she said she had 5 children, but they weren't seen because she didn't allow them outside. Supervisor, it is not necessarily the kids, and I don't know how it got to the point that it was a Taylor Bottom playground. It is at the entrance of Taylor Bottom, a far entrance, because you have to go all the way down there to get to those 3 streets, which is Taylor Bottom. So I just want y'all not to refer to that as Taylor Bottom Playground, as if you're giving Taylor Bottom a bad name. At one point when I came here, when I moved here, I was afraid to walk in Taylor Bottom. But those people are long gone and far removed. Taylor Bottom residents are getting really mad, and they want to come up here and say things. Now, Mr. Clark can verify, we worked hard to keep a group from not coming up to this meeting. And I'm gonna continue to work hard to keep a group coming up here, to say things and attack a person about a past. You know, you just don't want that, so.
Thank you, ma'am.
There are kids in that area though, not a lot. Like I say, I live about 2 miles from where I'll be bringing my kids,
Yes, ma'am.
grandkids to that various parks.
Come to the podium, please.
I have 9 kids in my home
Will
alone.
you please come to the podium?
That's all I wanted to say.
Did you hear what she said, though?
Yes. 9 kids.
9 kids.
Can you see them now?
All right, is anyone else would like to come speak? Mr. Clark, please come.
Excuse me. Good evening. I just want to touch on 2 things. The first one is, and I'm not talking directly to no one. And Ms. Tucker was right. It's been hard on me keeping the for a person that want a lot of drama, I was told. But been hard for me to keep the peace and tell the bottom. And I'm gonna keep the peace. But I'm more concerned about two things. When you all decide to vote on this freedom of speech thing, because that's what it's about. This is 2023. This is not 1950, where you put certain peoples, you can't speak. Just my opinion. And next, council, y'all need to really, like Mr. Street said, y'all need to take care of us a little better. The housing is crazy. I had a guy, and this is the honest truth, I don't know him at all, not that well, called me at 2:30 with a mental problem. So he just needs somebody to talk to. And I couldn't tell him the words he needed to say or nothing, but it's just, y'all need to walk the streets and see what's going on. Tell about them, not just, it's serious issues here, man. I mean, some serious issues. We bickering and arguing about a lot of stuff, but the stuff we need to argue about is each other. Like Ms. Street said, y'all was elected to work for us. Not work for us, I take that back, to care for us, and we supposed to care for you. This is a small community. A lot of, y'all just need to go out and just ask some questions. You'd be surprised, man, people sleeping in the street. And the drug uses. I mean, it's sad. I mean, we got to do a better job of taking care of each other. I mean, I appreciate it, but I mean, I ain't trying to fight or argue or nothing, but we need to do a better job of taking care of each other. And it's not a black and white thing when I talk what I'm talking about now. It's not a black or white thing, but we really need to love each other a little bit more, man. All right, thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Anyone else? Mr. Cruz? Anyone else? All right, moving right along to the, I beg your pardon? Can we get a water break? We don't have any. Yeah, I would already brought them out. All right, first item on the agenda tonight is to award a bid for concrete pads and a head wall at the cemetery. Manager Van Orbit?
Yes, sir. We talked about this and we opened the bids, if you guys remember, we opened the bids prior to the last council meeting, but I think there was some question, it was kind of short notice and we wanted to sit down because there was a huge spread between $72,000 from the second bidder and $21,570 for the low bidder. And we wanted to make sure, I had an opportunity to meet with I think his last name is Coffee, and he's with this, I call it Sea Park, I hope I'm saying it correctly, or Sea Creek LLC. Ben happened to be in the office and we went and met with him. I guess the big wild card that we had was, are you aware what is being required in the cemetery? And we went down there and met, and he said, not a problem, I got it. And he said, my bid stands and we're good to go. And what I'm doing is asking council to, and I am recommending that council approve Sea Creek LLC in the amount of $21,570. Of that amount, $13,820 is to build or pour the concrete pads for the bus shelters. If you're familiar, there's 5 of them that we're doing, and $7,750 for the head wall in the cemetery, and that'll be taken out of cemetery funds that we have on hand.
Members of council, you've heard the recommendation of the town manager.
Licensed, insured.
What's your pleasure?
We'll have to get he will have to provide us a certificate of insurance, with the town is also insured for $1 million, and a copy of his contractor's license.
All right, I got a question.
Can we get a motion?
I move to approve the low bid of $21,570 to Say Creek.
President Nash has moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Allman is second.
You have
Any discussion?
You have verified this bid with him, right?
Yeah, and that's what I just said, we went out there and met with
I
him.
don't think Philip could have been any clearer. We went to, I happened to be down here for something. He asked me to,
But there was a $50,000 split between the two.
I know you said you did.
That's
I just
my
wanted
question.
to be clear we're here.
We physically met with him on site.
We met with him. We went to the site.
But,
Philip explained to him the scope of the work, and he kind of asked him 3 times, dude, are you sure? And he said, yes, I've been over my numbers, and he started asking questions about the job. He made it abundantly clear. His bid stands. Mr.
let's
Miller?
say now, my question is, with this $51,000, is this contractor gonna come and say, well, okay, I forgot something, or
Oh, wait,
21,000?
no, the contract amount of $21,000.
Right,
That's his bid, that's the
No,
max he
change order.
gets.
Yeah, it's on her.
okay, that's the max,
That's the max, you can put that in the
$21,570.
motion
Okay.
if you like.
And mean, I know Walker, Walker has worked for the town for years, but I mean, it's citizens' money, sometimes.
$50,000 is a lot of money.
Don't wanna see
And
a
there's not a
change order.
justification for rejecting the
Right.
bid.
You don't wanna see a whole lot of change orders. either.
Gentlemen, if you don't mind, Philip and I both made abundantly clear, we don't want to hear any change order, is that correct?
Can you add that to your motion?
That's fine. Yeah, I'll amend it.
And you amended it to what, sir?
If there is any change to it, so be clear, as we pour these slabs, if we need to add any, because some of it is behind the curb and gutter, like at Nottaway Avenue, or Nottaway Manor Apartments, some of it is at Magnolia Place. If we do need to add any
outside the
concrete, that would be, to tie in or something like that, that'd be a discretionary, but no, he's not entitled to any change order based on the scope of work
Without
that
the
we got,
council's approval, please.
without council's approval.
So what are you amending your motion to, sir?
To include that we award it to Say Creek $21,570, and there's no change orders
Unless we change the
outside
scope
of the
of work.
scope of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, outside scope
Outside
of
the
work.
scope of the work, that's perfect, okay? Is there any other discussion, Mr. Gorman?
No, sir.
All right, I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote, and it'll start with Councilman Miller.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Next item on your agenda is the Chamber of Commerce request. Would you like to brief the council, or Ms. Rose, would
I
you
think
like to
she's
come
here
up?
to speak.
Good evening, Deb, how are you?
I'm good. Philip's a lot taller than I am. So Chamber of Commerce, we are doing the fireworks event again this year. We have talked with the provider. Fireworks are more expensive this year, about 20% more. Last year, the chamber took a loss on the fireworks, so we were also asking for the town to pay for the insurance. The chamber is doing a beer garden this year. We're not asking for any of the uplift of the insurance to cover the beer garden. That's one way we're going to try and cover some of our additional cost for this event.
And what is
So-
your request?
Our request, well, I had rounded up to 10,000. I spoke with Chris Page. He said we should probably do $9,999 in order to get the quorum.
I don't think we have enough members to pass something with 10,000
Can't
because I have
pass
to,
it
I have to abstain from this vote. So,
It's gonna have to be carried over to next meeting then, right?
next meeting is 2 days before the event or 3 days before.
Well, the Finance Committee's here, and I think it would be a good opportunity, if you care to expound on y'all's position. If you don't, we can
Well, obviously,
get
the
posted.
committee hasn't met to discuss any of this,
Discuss it, right.
but I personally, I mean, if we dole it up to 10 grand, sets precedence for anything, I'm all for supporting it, and that's why the 5,000 has been donated. I'd be all for the current funding, but to dole out double that is pretty harsh.
Any other members of council like to weigh in before we leave this?
I feel the same way. I mean, you doling out $5,000, and then why are we gonna double it to 10,000? It doesn't make sense.
Do we provide aid in, Philip, town workers for that event? Like we do for Juneteenth?
Yeah, Bev, she's done with it before. I'm sure that they're available if somebody needs them, but I don't remember us
I don't know
ever.
if we provide, like for
Garbage
Juneteenth, I think we
collection.
help with trash and
Police,
stuff like
all
that.
kind of stuff, yeah. I mean,
We'll
whatever
guard
they
the
need,
streets too, I think.
Yeah.
put out barricades and that kind of stuff.
Briefly, can you stand up and give the recording device a fair shot?
Well, since you've asked it, and because I'm loud enough, last year we did, out of chamber of funds, paid to have one of your town employees come out and pick up other garbage. And we paid for the tulip policy, we paid for the insurance for the fireworks out of chamber monies. But then we also had a grant that was coming in that covered the majority of the insurance for the fireworks people. So, the tulip policy, the ABC license, and $1,000 of the insurance. The insurance for just the fireworks last year was $2,875.
Most chamber events are there to help the chamber grow. The fireworks event, I think we lost $4,000 last year or something like that. But I think they wanted to provide free fireworks for the town when they first did it, because most towns do it. You know, most towns, counties, Farmville, Prince Edward, Richmond, you know, smaller towns too. But if it's gonna be if the costs are gonna go up, you know. It was widely attended last year too, very, very heavily attended.
And we're expecting it to be maybe even more widely attended this year, just because the 100-mile yard sale, which goes through Blackstone, is also running on that exact same day. So we're hoping that a lot of people will come into Blackstone just for the fireworks and also come to some of our restaurants. And
Well, Deb, let me make it real clear. I'm sorry, if you don't mind. Let me make it real clear. I don't have a position. This is a council issue, okay? And I may ask some questions to help with this procedure. And
Sure.
And even though we can't vote, I think it's a good idea. She's here. Miss Ames is here. But go ahead, Mr. Allman. I apologize again.
I was gonna ask, since it sounds like we're about to vote on something, is it all right if we open it to public comment? I mean,
Yes.
we're kinda getting out of the way of a workshop if we're gonna vote on something.
Well, I don't know. The question I was gonna ask before I rudely interrupted you was, do we have 5,000 in the budget that y'all are asking to approve? Is that what we have in there?
No, we asked for these requests to be in March.
Okay.
But the chamber did put the
and we did
request in March.
request it in March.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
It's too soon for this year.
Yeah, it was too soon for this year.
Okay, so where do we stand with that? I mean, is this ship sailed? Or what, and Philip, you may need to help me, what's the procedure of getting, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm getting vertigo here, but correct me if I'm wrong, were we gonna vote tonight to send this to be published, this budget to be published?
That's what we need to do.
Okay, okay.
Unless you have another meeting.
What do the fireworks themselves cost?
Last year, they were $5,000 just for the fireworks, and they're supposed to be 20% more this year.
6,000.
6,000. And I was trying to, Moncur wasn't able to get me a number on the insurance for this year. So we're going, it's just below 2,900 last year.
Mr. Holman?
Out of the spirit of our town, and because we are a military town, we used to have a pretty good fireworks show. Back in the day, Fireworks for Freedom. It's one of my favorite parts growing up in Blackstone. I make a motion that council grants $9,000 to the chamber with the point that if you could give us some receipts for the things purchased with it.
Oh, definitely, yeah. We've done that with the Christmas parade whenever we requested funds.
9, or are we doing 4 because 5's already?
No, you'd have to.
It's just 9 total.
Hold
in that.
Hold up, let's get this straight now. Okay.
All right, we got a motion, can we get a second and get discussion?
Okay. I have no issue with that.
I want you to do your thing. Is there a second to Mr. Allman's?
And I'll amend my motion to be 9 total. So, that's what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
didn't. Sounds almost like it was 9 on top of the 5. That's why I was
You
asking.
gonna second the motion?
I will second.
Mr. Miller, you have the floor.
Now, my question is, okay, when we giving up $10,000 now, okay, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen, cause we give 5 to Juneteenth? What's gonna happen next year when Juneteenth comes and say we need $10,000?
Well, I didn't want to talk about this yet because I'd rather it be in a different meeting.
Okay, okay.
We had it, but
I
no,
respect you for that.
I don't mind talking about it. We had in our last, one of our last DBI meetings, we had a gentleman come and talk about Virginia Main Street programs and gave a great presentation on how to be successful as a town and how to be successful as a community, and we want to grow and bring people in. And he talked about themes. The big thing was themes and your audience. And I think it's pretty evident, or pretty easily seen that our audience and our main customer are the Department of State and our Army National Guard customers, as well as all the other armed service branches. When I think about a theme for Blackstone, I always think about our armed services, and now Fort Barfoot and our Department of State colleagues. So it's something that I was going to later push for to try to get everybody on board with a little bit more communication to try to figure out how to grow our patriotism in town and see if we can grow towards that theme. I haven't been able to talk about it, but this just kind of comes up as one of those things that I think is good towards that.
you know, I don't knock what you're saying, but the only thing I'm saying is when this comes back up again, how are we gonna approach it? Because
It
we'll
needs
make,
to be put in the
well,
paperwork.
because we're making a commitment now to give these people, which I'm not knocking it. I don't want the newspaper to say I'm knocking this, but what I'm saying is, are we opening up a can of worms? That's only my question. I mean, either way it goes, I mean, if you wanna give them $10,000, that's cool with me. But the only thing I'm saying is, somebody else is gonna come up here and want the same thing.
For me, again, it's about that theme.
Okay.
So if somebody comes up else wanting the same thing and it
I'm
doesn't
just
go with the
I'm
theme that we-
you know, all I'm doing is making it a word. It makes me no difference either way. But I'm just saying, if you do this, and then somebody else comes up here, because who we support, we're supporting the chamber now, we're supporting Juneteenth now, and I think we also do something for Christmas for them, right? So we got 3 organizations here now, so, not to conquer you.
No, you're
but
right, you're right. It
You
is
know,
a-
I'm
it is
just
a
saying, but I can see where this could lead to something that we might not want to get into.
I mean, does the town wanna do fireworks show on their own? I mean, the chamber's stepped up and done, most towns do, especially if they have a military base, but.
Say what now?
Most towns do fireworks, you know, of
That's
good
not the
size.
issue.
I mean, are we gonna do it on our own?
That's not the issue. That is not the issue at all. Let me get this straight before it goes to the newspaper. I said something else. What I'm saying is you're opening up a keg of worms because we said 5,000. They come and ask for 10,000, which it doesn't really make me any difference. But I'm saying somebody else is gonna come back up here, and how are we gonna react?
But they asked for the money in March, by the way, as requested. So I'm just saying, no,
For
she asked
5.
for 10, no.
No, not for 5.
Oh,
Right.
okay. But last year,
Right.
we didn't have that policy. So they didn't ask for it by March.
Yeah, we did.
You know what I
Yes,
mean?
we had that policy last year.
It didn't pass until,
No, sir, we had that policy when Juneteenth came up here and asked for $5,000. That was 2 years ago? Yeah, that policy's been in effect.
But you know, the truth of it is, we talk about drawing people to the town and having events and having activities that draw people to the town. It's not gonna be cost-free. I mean, that's the thing about it, we just like,
so you,
accept it's gonna cost something. You know what I mean?
Right.
I feel what you're saying, but at the same time, we gotta invest to a certain extent to be able to have these events.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking it. The only thing I'm trying to say is we need to get it straight. You know, they asking for 10,000, so what happens if the next group comes up and asks for 10,000? You understand what I'm saying?
but you're saying that in December of 2022, we didn't pass a policy saying that all funding requests had to be in by March 1st.
Yes.
So last budget cycle, that policy wasn't in place then. You didn't pass it until this December.
It was in effect last year, Chris. It was in,
The exact dates.
it was in effect last year. When they came here last year, we told them they had to have they wanted $5,000, and we gave it to them. The year before last was the same thing. It was $5,000. I mean, I'm not trying to argue. I'm just,
I don't see it, it's not so much the money to me as the fact of the process.
Right.
I'm always, you know, a budget person. You need to have it in the budget in order, because, in my opinion, $10,000 is a lot of money. Now, obviously, in a budget of, what, 21 million, I think? It's 22? But 10,000 to me, a lot of money.
It's, I agree with you, Mr. Miller. I get what you're saying, and this is a meeting that I wanted to have later, preferably presented by by somebody other than myself, maybe DBI or somebody else. I'd like to talk about how we as a town can start focusing in on an event, and the general consensus we had at the time was a patriotic event like the 4th of July. That's kind of what we talked about, and focusing in on a town by that kind of being our brand as patriotism and support for our armed services and support for our military contractors. This is just kind of odd timing that this came up at the same time. I don't want to see us not have fireworks and kind of, you know, put a kink in the hose before we get there.
Any other comments, council?
Yeah.
Would it soothe your nerves, maybe at a lower figure? I'm trying to
man,
get this.
like I say, that's not the issue. That is not my issue.
Okay.
My issue is, like I say, I don't care about the $10,000, but I'm saying, what's going to happen when somebody else comes up here and say we need $10,000? Are we going to either set a limit or we not? That's my thing. Set a limit and not $10,000 is not the question.
Okay, I appreciate your comment.
You understand what I'm saying? $10,000 is not the question. Just set a limit.
It was said at the start of this.
That's right.
and that all of this was seed money. That's the main reason the council originally said.
Said it's seed
$5
money.
grand, let's go.
All right.
It's seed money.
Is there any,
If you actually get down to it, this seed money is only supposed to be for 1 year. If
To
you
get it
that-
up and running. It
To
could
get
be
it
a
up
year
and
or
running.
two,
This is
whatever.
what this is about, you know. So, I mean, I don't care. I mean, that's up to y'all. But I just saying about the consequences, and you all have been on council, and you know what I'm saying is true.
Can we get it through this year and put it on the agenda for August? We can just deal with it immediately.
Okay.
I mean, technically, we could deal with it tonight. I mean, they did put a request in for this new budget section, so. We can deal with both of them.
Whatever, I mean, you know, I have no issue with it. The only issue I have is.
The mayor's suggestion of would it help if it was any lower number? No.
No.
Okay,
I don't think
I'm
that's-
just putting it out there,
That's not the
okay?
issue, yeah.
This is your decision. Is there any other discussion? Are you ready to vote? All right, I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote, beginning with Mr. Miller. You want me to repeat the motion? Or does everybody know what we're talking about?
All right, okay.
Mr. Almond has moved and Mr. Gormas is second, that the town provide $9,000, is that correct? $9,000 towards the fireworks, display, and that they file a report with the council including receipts for how the money was spent, is that correct?
Can you put amendment in there for this year only?
Yes, I can, yes. We're talking only about this year.
And the
Is
rest
the
of my,
fireworks going to make money? I mean, when you talk seed money, you talk about an event that's going
No.
to profit by being had.
It does not make money.
That's why I asked.
That's generally why it's an undertaking by towns and counties and not a private
That's why I asked that.
organization. you know.
It's
Well,
not,
and that's why we need to look into it. Is
Right.
it something not to oust the chamber,
Yep.
but is it something the town just needs to run with and do?
I think it's something the town should partnership with, but at the end of the day, it's gonna cost us a lot more money to do it as a town than it is for the chamber to do it with volunteers.
And I think so too, because, you know, the person that's doing the fireworks is not, and Bev is the one that found them, he's not charging us to actually light them. He's only charging us for the actual cost of the fireworks. And we have to pay the insurance on that.
so if we say what you're saying just this year, then we're gonna go through this debate again for next year.
No.
Well, which we already,
Her request
Or we
came
won't.
in,
Right.
is for 11,000 for the FY '24. Her request is 11.
which
24,
we haven't got to that yet.
But if it didn't get
Taking a
approved
motion
next
for
year,
this-
we could also be looking at asking businesses to sponsor fireworks, and maybe that's a way to
well, we'll
to
deal,
raise
if
money.
you don't mind, we'll deal with 24,
Yeah.
25 in 24.
Okay.
So we're doing 23, 24 right now. Is there any other discussion, gentlemen, of y'all?
No, I think,
This is 22, 23.
yeah, this
Right.
is a discussion for this current,
Current,
not
no,
Right,
this.
July, yeah.
Budget
$11,000
committee right now.
request is for what we need to be advertising tonight.
right,
okay, 11,000 or 9?
11 for tonight.
Tonight.
This vote is for 9.
nine.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we
You-
voting on
well-
$9,000 right now, right?
Because of the way the event falls in July, you have to have it. I mean, we've got
I'll
to
take your lead on that. I'm just ready to vote if y'all are done.
call for question.
Oh, yeah.
Nay.
President Nash has called for the question. Councilman Miller, what's your vote?
Yeah.
Aye?
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
I have to abstain because I'm being paid to DJ at this event.
Motion carries 3-1. I'm sorry, Mr. Nash, I would've broke the tie. I would've broke the tie in favor of it, so. You got $9,000 this year. I think we need to get, be a partner. We've got wonderful resources here with our admin team. And we need to find a way to make, I think Fireworks for Freedom was pretty much it took care of itself, didn't it? Don't you?
I was
It was a long time
I was
ago.
like 5 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it did. I think it was parking. Parking's what paid for it.
Parking was
It
what
was
paid for it.
$8 to park.
Yeah, you remember the thunderstorm I endured?
There was a thunderstorms, and my father was one of the main volunteers for the chamber
Yeah.
at the time, and he had people call him at home asking for their $8 back, and that's when he said he was not doing it anymore.
I was working the gate, and I was, if I got $8, I'd been surprised, you know? So, anyway.
We got 10 minutes of game time.
Oh, my goodness. All right, well.
Right.
we'll-
Thank
we'll
you very
set
much.
this Item aside. Thank you, ma'am.
10
What I
minutes
was
to
gonna
game
say is,
time.
let's get together next year. We wanna show you some help. All right, we have the next item on the agenda is we have a proclamation for, Councilman Neal. Mr. Manager, did you have anything to weigh in on this proclamation for Mr. Neal?
This is the proclamation that the president, as associated with John Neal, in recognition of John Neal, I think that council previously had approved. I think council had previously approved some expenditures for a bench, some other things like that, and I think the expectation is that would happen. The family asked that this proclamation be adopted, and it was prepared and written by the family.
Do you know when the bench or where the bench is gonna be?
I'm gonna ask Jennifer. I think she's the one that went out and got the bench.
Supposed to be right out here?
It's here, it's at the town shop waiting, because they want, I think they want to present it during Juneteenth. But it's gonna be out front here in front of the council chambers.
You've heard, yes,
I
sir.
move that we approve, the proclamation and have the mayor sign it.
So moved.
Donovan Johnson.
So moved.
Mr. Nash has moved, Mr. Miller has second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
And there was talk of a plaque that I think we were gonna put in the.
There was gonna be a plaque on the bench.
No, there's a bronze plaque on the bench with his name in a little writing
Been so
on there.
long.
But I think that it said maybe we'd wait on the plaque until we, if chamber moves to the arm.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Manager, I'm gonna turn the meeting over to you for a budget work session. Or should I say Chairman Nash?
No, Phillips, got it. The committee hasn't met since we last,
Last signed this.
and what Phillips will present, I think, is our electric rate that came in today.
Okay.
I'm glad that we have a full chamber tonight to hear this. Huh? Did I make it what? No, this was prepared by a company called GDS, which is our consultant for the VEMA group, Virginia Municipal Electric.
See this from space.
Hear what?
You can see it from space.
That was the intention, because I couldn't figure out how to reduce the margin to print it on 8.5 by 11. I tried and I goobered it, so I just
You
did
talking
the
about
easy
the
thing.
font in the whole thing? Ease up, man. It's good for the old man over here, man. Ease up on him.
All right, first page. And we're talking specifically, for those in the audience that don't know, we're specifically talking about electric rates right now, which is a portion of a $22 million budget, okay? Electric rates. And the reason for power cost increase, and I'll read it out, I don't have extra copies, but they are available. There may be one at the table if anybody wants to follow along. I don't know if anybody has interest in that. I think this is an extra one probably down with us. Huh? You gonna look at it? This is not good news. In January, Dominion Power, through our VEMA group, announced that their expectation was for a 14.4% increase in electric rates, base electric rates. The expectation was that the fuel adjustment cost was going to go down enough or appreciably to offset that. So the net effect to the consumer was about an equal bill, okay? Because of the reduction in fuel adjustment and the increase in rates, we're going to practically offset. If you remember, we had given out some handouts previously for the January projections, okay? I'm going to read this for you so everybody can hear. 2020 true up, total amount of $7.3 million. And that is among the VEMA membership. And the VEMA membership, for those in the know, is the town of Culpeper, the city of Franklin, Harrisonburg Electric Cooperative, the town of Elkton, the town of Wakefield, the city of Manassas, Virginia, and the town of Blackstone, Virginia. We are all municipal electric providers that buy through the Dominion catchment area. There are other municipal electric providers in the western part of the state, and that's through APCO. All right, 2022 true up, total amount of $7.3 million passed through to the member communities. Of our portion, it's going to be about $239,000. That's payable in 3 equal installments, and if you look at, my goodness, if you look at the third page, you'll see 2020 as a header, 2022 true-up allocation with interest, because we got to pay Dominion interest.
What?
Yep.
Page 4, page 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the 79,000.
Explain that. How do we have to pay interest on something we didn't know we owed until?
That's part of the agreement and negotiated contracts between the communities and Dominion.
At what rate?
I don't know the interest rate.
Could you get back to me on that?
I can find
If it's
out.
useless, I'm gonna.
I can find
I'm
out.
gonna be on the mission.
Find out. But we will pay our share of $239,000, which includes interest, in 3 monthly charges. It'll begin in the month of consumption in the month of June, and the bill that's in July, $79,891 equally over 3 months, and then we will use 12 months to collect it. Okay? So we will front the money, and then we will collect it over 12 months. All right? Key reason for large true-up was due to Dominion having a $329 million of regional greenhouse gas initiative allowance expenses in 2022, and this expense was not accounted for in Dominion's estimated rates billed to VEMA. For those of you that don't know, and I'm a bit of a novice, I read in the Richmond paper today about the greenhouse gas initiative that was adopted prior to Governor Youngkin coming on, and it is raising people's rates dramatically. Governor Youngkin did announce, and I think it's been in the Richmond paper, that he is attempting to get Virginia out of this cooperative initiative, because it is dramatically increasing electric rates.
You have to pay more to burn coal.
Bill, can I ask you a
To burn
question?
gas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Can I ask you a question? How many homes do we, how many utility customers do we have hooked up to power?
You know, I can give you the exact number. I think it's 1,300, between 12 and 1,300. Yeah.
We'll
We
just
did a
look
little
at-
study on the water and sewer side, but I'll get you an exact number,
So you're looking at a $15.97 per bill increase,
just for that portion,
just on that portion.
just for the true-up. That doesn't include the base rate
Now-
increases.
Now, that's per kilowatt hour. So somebody that's using less kilowatts won't pay the same thing as somebody using a tremendous amount of kilowatts.
All right. New 2023 estimated rates. Now, that's not the true-up. This is the base rates that we pay. Demand rate is much higher. It's 118, or excuse me, 188, 155. It's $134,000 more from the January estimate, which was more than what we paid this current fiscal year. Okay?
The reason that our percent change is higher than everybody else is because we use less power, is that correct?
No, I can't say it's because we use less power. We're not the smallest group. Wakefield and Elkton are smaller than us. I think some of it, and there's a calculation, and I can provide that for you, but it's based on the mills that you use and how you're charged. More commercial consumption or more demand consumption reduces the amount. And if you can see, different cities and different towns have different rates based
Yeah,
on,
Harrisonburg was 3.1 million, wasn't it?
that is their true-up figures, almost $3.2 million. Okay. But on the base rate, demand rate is much higher than current demand rate, 30% increase just in the base rate or the demand portion of that bill. Key reasons are continued increase in cost of new construction, such as offshore wind projects, carryover of 2022 coal plant operations and maintenance expenses for plants retired earlier this year. They're getting rid of coal plant. Okay? An assumption that Dominion will incur $330 million in regional greenhouse gas initiative expenses, even though Virginia may exit. And that's what was announced in the newspaper, that they may come out of it. But we still got to pay it in July, August, and September, because VEMA is preparing to dispute, and we won our dispute last year, and if you remember, we returned the money, if you remember. VEMA is preparing to dispute $180 million of that regional greenhouse gas initiative allowance expenses, and in the estimated rates, RGGI and O&M cost assumptions. Do not anticipate resolving any items with Dominion prior to September 23. By that time, we will have already paid the $239,000.
Convenient. Convenient.
All right, so starting,
But the town of Blackstone is not going to mark anything up. We're just simply
passing it on. There is no additional rate charge that'll come back to the Blackstone. Next page, demand energy rates. The new demand rate, as we talked about, 8.6 higher than the estimate. Energy rates, which is a much smaller portion of the bill, are 7.5% lower than January 2023 estimate. Fuel adjustment charge, new fuel adjustment, which went on effective April 1st. People are already seeing it on their bills. 18.52, which was not as much as a drop as was estimated in your January projections. Everybody following? We're on the next page.
So what I'm
Y'all good?
seeing is that the users, our citizens, will see a 2.4% increase.
Nope.
On demand only, though.
2.4 over what we estimated.
Correct.
Nope, because the estimate did not have the true-up in it. Yeah. True-ups include, true-ups include calendar year 22 true-up, $7.3 million with interest. 2.4 million of true-up is captured in June 2023, and that 2.4 applies to all the VEMA group. The whole group is which is 7.3 divided by 3 is a third. Okay? Remaining 4.9 is captured in July and August.
Mr. Page, do you have a comment?
Yeah, so that true up is 239,000 flat rate. So
No, it's not a flat rate. It'll be on like a kilowatt hour charge per.
that's just how we collect it, but we've got to pay them 239,000.
You're gonna pay them
That
$239,000.
equals out to about $15.97 per house, depending on what their usage is a month.
Just for the true-up, just for clean
for the
energy
true-up.
initiative.
Yeah.
Right.
So do you have an estimate of what like an average bill is gonna,
Well,
dollars and cent wise? I mean,
I'm coming.
the effect.
Not an average bill. But again, we talked about the true-up. Okay. And these are, the next couple sheets are assumptions, excluding FAC, which is fuel adjustment charge, and then you can come to the next page and power cost summaries. But the next page is the telling one. The last page, page 7. Not including fuel adjustment. Your electric rates in Blackstone, without us passing anything additional, but just passing on Dominion's increase to the customer, will go up 21.8%. The net effect is going to be some offset because the fuel adjustment did come down. Okay?
Is the net effect gonna be closer to
I think you're going to,
0.4 plus?
I think the net effect, and please, I just got these this afternoon, I think the net effect is going to be about an 8% increase.
How much?
About 8.
8%.
That'll be the net effect.
But you said that excludes the true, correct?
No, the total. I think the average customer, the typical customer, is going to see about an 8% increase in their utility bill because the fuel adjustment is going to come down some to offset. But I think your base rate, and remember that base rate stays, and that base rate out of that 21.8%, I think is going to be about 16%, between 15 and 16%.
And for the audience, you mean just the electric part of the utility? Just the electric part of the utility?
This is only electric, doesn't have anything to do with water sewer. And this is just a straight up pass on from Dominion Power.
How's that 8%? Is that,
That's an estimation, please let the record reflect. I
that
still got some polishing to do here.
possible over or underestimation, or you feeling good about the number? Or what?
No, I think it's pretty close.
Pretty low.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. Because if you think about it, at 14.4%, which was their initial estimation, we thought we would see about a 1%, 0.7 of a percent of an increase, okay? By increasing this amount, there's no more offset. Fuel adjustment didn't come down as much, between 7 and 8%.
It's about $19 on a $300 bill if you take out water and water and sewer.
Cross your fingers, they can reach that agreement, and then we can do the same as we did last year and dole it back to the citizens.
Yes, if there's a change and we win in FERC or we win in this negotiation, or VEMA wins, then we can give it back. We gave it back this year. What we collected, we turn right back to the customer. 459,000.
Mr. Holmes? Do you have a comment?
I'm trying to ask a question and make sure I'm not understanding where I asking. On the last line on all these graphs where it says that where it has the VEMA number,
Pardon?
what is that representing?
What page you on, Jake?
Any of the pages with the graph?
Okay.
They all have that VEMA line at the end.
Yeah.
Just obvious here. VEMA 64, like.
I don't know.
Says
What are you talking
Wakefield.
This?
Yes. What is that?
I assume that VEMA's an average of all these.
Oh, just an average.
Yeah.
Okay. So low average.
Moving on?
Yep.
All right.
Any questions about the electric rates?